Hello, BookTube. I checked, and it turns out that the giant ball of hydrogen, helium, and traces of argon that is currently visible in the sky overhead is called the sun. And the stuff that it's giving off is called sunlight. It's been so long, I'd completely forgotten. But I figured, make hay while the sun shines, we'll do a little mail haul. I got some mail. And I, for once, don't have to squint at you through the shadows. I have bright, glorious sunlight. Good Lord. So, let's see what we have here. It's just 4 packages. Probably won't be the only mail today. But it might be something squeal-worthy. I've been very happy to see, in the last day, lots and lots of lurkers coming forward. Turns out there are proud lurkers. People who I cracked up when I read that phrase. Proud lurkers. People who watch this channel, but don't ever comment. And I'd like to see more such lurkers come out of the shadows. So let's see here. What have we got here? What the? Looks like sci-fi. I never get sci-fi. This is by Michael Moresi, and it's a Black Star Renegades novel called We Are Mayhem. Why do I know that name? Why do I know that name? Black Star Renegades? Why do I know that name? Did I review Black Star Renegades? I have a feeling I did, and I think I left nothing alive behind. I want to know. Let's see. Our favorite band of ragtag misfits are back in the second entry in this space opera the Nerdist calls the next big thing. Our favorite band of ragtag misfits is the Muppets. Okay? There is no competition with the Muppets. All they're trying to do is put on a show. And I don't want any words from any of you about the fact that Steve looks like Statler and Waldorf. Okay? Especially since my favorite Muppet is neither Statler nor Waldorf, but in fact, New Zealand. The Gershling Gargling Gargoyle. Let's see here. The war is far from over, even as the Praxis Empire reels from its most recent defeat. I did review the first one of these. I remember the Praxis Empire now. I did review this. Okay. All right. Well, so this comes out in April, and I will read it, and I will read it with a wide open mind. I will do that. I keep in mind all the examples that I have in the past of an ongoing series, books in a series, where the first book in the series wasn't indicative of how good things got down the line. I would imagine that that's less likely now, that series are planned ahead of time. But, for instance, the example that I always mention, the one that I've mentioned on this channel, is The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant the Unbeliever by Stephen R. Donaldson, which started off with a book called Lord Fowl's Bane, which was just a wan, weak-kneed, third-string Tolkien ripoff. And I read it, and I called it in a review a wan, weak-kneed Tolkien ripoff. And then the second book, The Ill-Earth War, and the third book, The Power That Preserves, were wonderful. So, lesson learned. Same thing with Frank Herbert's Dune. I read it and loved it, same as everybody else. Then I eagerly awaited something else set in that universe. I got Dune Messiah, and originally I poo-pooed it. And had to wait for the third book, The Children of Dune, before I read something that was as good as Dune. I have since revised my opinion of Children of Dune Messiah. I have never gone back and revised my opinion of Lord Fowl's Bane, but one way or another, you see what I mean. The fact that I didn't like the first volume in this doesn't mean that the second volume is beyond the pale. I will read it and see in the new year. Let's see here. Let's see. I very seldom explicitly pan things anymore. It's kind of weird to think back on that review. I have in the years, actually the years when I've been making booktubes, it's all been happening in my professional life, but I have in those years sort of quasi-adopted the review philosophy of a number of the different venues where I publish, where the idea is that since, as we've mentioned on this channel, in the internet age, any attention is good attention. You can savage something to people you're still bringing it to people's attention. We're all swamped every minute of every day with demands on our attention. Swamped. And there are more books published every day than in 2018 than there were books published in an entire year in 1950. So that's never been more true. And the editorial attitude on for a lot of the venues where I write is, if you don't like a book, if you can't recommend it, then let's not review it. Let's save the space for the books we can recommend. And although my editors never put it this way, and bury the stuff that's mediocre or bad in silence. Silence is deadly, in other words. In the 21st century, when it comes to critical responses, silence is deadly. The worst evisceration imaginable at 800 words in the New York Times or the Post-Dispatch or whatever is infinitely preferable to silence. And I've kind of sort of quasi-adopted that, so I only rarely kick something around the curb, even at Open Letters Review, which is my own venue. I very rarely do that. Instead, I tend to, even if I have stern criticism, I tend to bring up, before your attention, only the books that warrant your attention, even if they have flaws, rather than stuff that's just bad. I tend not to do that. So, anyway, what have we got now? Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. I requested this. This is the first in a series. This is Death in Provence by Serena Kent. The first in a mystery series with a lovely sedated cover like that. Let's see here. This comes out in February, so not far away. It's the first entry in a clever, lighthearted mystery series set in modern-day Provence. It's a delightful blend of Agatha Christie and Peter Mailey, featuring the irrepressible Penelope Kite, a young-at-heart divorcee with a knack for stumbling across dead bodies. It's love at first sight when Penelope Kite sees the Song of Water, a stone farmhouse tucked high in the hills above the Luberon Valley, complete with a garden, swimming pool, and sweeping mountain vistas. For years, Penelope put her unfaithful ex-husband and her ungrateful stepchildren first. Since taking early retirement from her job in forensics at the Home Office in England, she's been an unpaid babysitter and chauffeur for her grandchildren. Now she's going to start living for herself. Though her dream house needs major renovations, Penelope impulsively buys the property and moves to Saint-Malo. But Penelope's daydreams of an adventurous life in Provence didn't include finding a corpse floating face down in her swimming pool. Well, one would imagine not, no. The discovery of a dead man plunges her headlong into a Provençal stew of intrigue and lingering resentment simmering beneath the deceptively sunny village. Gotta love it. So, amateur detective, forensic skills, a fish out of water, lots and lots of colorful locals. This has all of the ingredients that I love in and of themselves in a location-based murder mystery. The whole question will be what kind of a stew the author makes with those ingredients. So does the author do something with them, or do they just sit there? I will report back. That's in the new year. Let's see here. Move on to this next one. Fairly heavy. What have we got here? Oh, fantastic. All right, this is the new year as well. This is also February. This is a known quantity for me, something I know I'm going to like. This is Mark Greaney. This is Mission Critical, a Gray Man novel. The Gray Man novels are so good. They are so good. What have we got here? Mark Greaney's Gray Man is the fastest growing thriller series in the publishing industry, and I'm thrilled to share the latest installment featuring Cortland Court Gentry. I'm wondering if that's true. Is that publicity speak, or is that really true that this is taking off? It should take off. They're tremendously good books. If you like a solo individual oriented action thriller, God, you can't do any better. Especially this guy's action scenes. Oh my God! And action scenes are tough. They are very tough to do. Try it if you don't believe me. Keeping the action going for 2 pages takes an enormous amount of energy. Enormous. As a writer, it takes enormous amounts of energy. If you can write a 4-page action sequence that never slows down, that has the reader holding his breath the whole time, that's a virtuoso feat of writing. And there are action sequences that get even longer than that, including, I mean, I've mentioned before, the epic, the quintessential, a freakish example of a protracted action scene that takes place in the last Wheel of Time novel, the one that was written by Brandon Sanderson, in which he writes a 200-page action sequence. Wouldn't have thought it possible. But this guy, oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see here. When Mark's previous book, Agent in Place, hit Publishers Weekly bestseller list last year, Publishers Weekly highlighted his first week sales increase over the preceding years, an upward trajectory of double-digit percentage growth in each new Gray Man book since 2013's Dead Eye. Each Gray Man book received stellar reviews, with Mark being praised for his high-octane storytelling, that's the Washington Post, described as among the top authors of espionage, that's the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, where I have never written, and the best in the business, that was Suspense Magazine, who also have never come calling. What's going on here? The series has continued to draw on comparisons with giants in the field, including Brad Thor, Daniel Silva, and, of course, Tom Clancy. And the of course there is because Greene also wrote a bunch of Tom Clancy novels. And they were wonderful. Really, really good stuff. I don't know off the top of my head if he still does that, if he still has a brief to do that. Now that the Gray Man novels are taking off, I wouldn't be surprised if he would stop doing that. Yeah, he co-wrote Clancy's final 3 Jack Ryan thrillers before the venerable legend's death, and then carried the mantle for another 4 novels. And of course, he wrote the final 3. He didn't co-write them with Tom Clancy. For years, okay, so this is going to tell you a little bit about the Gray Man. For years, Court Gentry was the CIA's best covert asset. Then, without warning, the agency put him at the top of its kill list. Court fled the country and became an enigmatic killer for hire known as the Gray Man. However, after a tense reconciliation of sorts, Court begrudgingly finds himself working for his former government overseers, and the novel where he gets word that he can come in from the cold, that he is no longer being hunted. Oh my God, what a novel. I mean, I expect this author to write action sequences and all sorts of, techno-thriller and espionage world info dumps, and to do it really entertainingly. But in addition to that, in that novel, the novel where the Gray Man is told that we're not going to kill you on sight anymore, that novel has this sense of betrayal and just ominous suspicion just hanging over every page. You literally don't know who to trust. You trust the Gray Man, but you don't know who any other character in the book could be or not be. You certainly don't trust the CIA. But anyway, Mission Critical opens with Court on a CIA transport plane when a security team brings a hooded man aboard. The mysterious passenger is being transported to England, where a joint CIA MI6 team will interrogate him about a mole at Langley, which is those of you who are outside the country, that is the head of the corporate head of the CIA. Upon landing at an isolated airbase in the UK, they are attacked by a hostile force that kidnaps the prisoner. Gentry, the lone survivor, is ordered to track down the assassins and rescue the asset. At the same time, Court's sometime lover and fan favorite, Zoya Zakharova, escapes an attack at a CIA safe house in Virginia with a team of killers following her. Both Court and Zoya, each on a different continent, are battling blind against their pursuers, but each may be holding the peace the other needs to survive. Oh boy! All right, well, it doesn't matter to me. Actually, the front sheet of this has all sorts of blurbs. I don't think it has any blurb from me. No, it doesn't. I tell you, I need more venues. That's what I need. I need more venues. I don't have enough venues. My dream for venues in 2018 is apparently not going to come true. I'm going to have to postpone it to 2019. In 2018, I wanted to gain a regular venues in Iowa, Ireland, and India. And I didn't in any one of those 3 places. I did gain new venues in 2018. I did do that. But I wanted a new venue in Iowa, preferably a small-town newspaper in Iowa. India, preferably a small-town newspaper in India. And Ireland, preferably a small-town newspaper in Ireland. I wanted all 3 of those, and I didn't get any one of them. I don't have any blurbs on this thing, even though I praised this guy. And I'm pretty sure that I was one of the first people to praise him. One of the first people to say, hey, this guy writing these Tom Clancy novels is tremendously good. I've recommended The Gray Man to many people. But, actually, it doesn't... The front has all the blurbs, but I swear, the back of the sheet that contains the plot the plot summary could be completely blank. I would still be sold on this book. I can't wait to read it. Although this is the third book out of we've got a potential of 4 here. This is the third one that I won't be reading. We've said already. I've already mentioned that it's bound to happen that in the upcoming weeks we will get mail hauls where I talk about the books, reminisce about earlier books by those authors, but where I am not going to read the books I get until the new year. I'm not reading any 2019 books until 2019. So, well, let's see what this fourth one is. Maybe it'll be something that I can read this week. Let's see. Okay, this looks like a finished copy. So this, yes, all right. This comes out today, so or yesterday. So this is something that I can read. It's from the great folks at Minotaur Books, and it is a murder mystery. Okay, so we start and stop. We start and stop with murder mysteries. This is by Maya Chance, and it is Naughty on Ice. Marvelously charming Lola Woodby and her stoic Swedish cook Berta return for a dazzling, fun holiday adventure. Maya's latest addition to the Discreet Retrieval Agency series. When an anonymous Christmas card from Maple Hill, Vermont, beckons the Discreet Retrieval Agency to recover an antique ring at a family gathering, of course Lola and Berta jump at the chance. After all, holiday business hasn't been such exhilarating work, and their sweethearts, Ralph and Jimmy, have been on the back burner. They both have sweethearts. But no sooner do they find the ring on Great Aunt Daphne Goddard's arthritic finger when Mrs. Goddard drops dead from a poisoned glass of Negroni on ice. And the police show up to find Lola and Berta red-handed with the ring. It's an obvious setup, and now the duo must uncover the secrets of Maple Hill in order to clear their name, or be thrown in the slammer. Okay, well, that sounds like fun. That sounds like this is... I mean, you have all sorts of different kinds of murder mysteries, right? Those of you who love murder mysteries as much as I do will know some of them are deadly serious. I mean, you'd think they all would be because there's a dead body. But some of them are deadly serious, but not all of them. Some of them are fun. Some of them are meant to be a kind of a romp, even though there's a dead body. And this sounds like that. I don't think I read Gin and Panic, the book before this. I don't think I did. But anyway, it doesn't matter because I'm going to gobble this right up because it feels particularly anticlimactic to have a mail haul in which you can't read any of the books. This is the one book in this mail haul that I can read. So I will read it tonight. So we have Naughty on Ice. Then we have a bunch of 2019 books. Mission Critical by Mark Greaney. Haven't read the book, but oh boy, do I recommend this series and this author. He takes care with his books, and so you are in good hands when you read him. Then Death in Provence. Which of us hasn't bought a dream house in Provence and found a dead body floating in the pool? And We Are Mayhem by Michael Moresi. The sequel to Star Renegades, Black Star Renegades, which I feel certain that I reviewed and savaged. So I don't know. The new year will come, and it will bring with it all sorts of new books. And I'm not going to say that I feel like I owe the author something. I don't. I read his first book. I read it with a wide open mind. I would have been happy to love it. If I didn't love it, and if it was, a matter of structure and plot and derivativeness, then it wasn't my fault that I didn't love it, so we'll move on to the next book. No hard feelings. Obviously, he has a second book with lots of blurbs on it, so no hard feelings. I'll read the second one and see what I make of it. Well, but we have plenty of time. We'll get the finished copy and we'll talk about it then. So that is the morning's mail haul. Bound to be more mail today. Plenty more bookish stuff to talk about. So we will reconvene. I'm going to go outside and stare directly at this ball of hydrogen, helium, and traces of argon. I've heard rumors from ancient days when this thing called the sun was a regular appearance in Boston that it's harmful to go outside and stare directly at it, but it looks so pretty. Anyway, I will wrap this up, but I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.